Hello, welcome back. This is the second round of the tournament, and this one was actually really quick. I played e4, and my opponent never showed up, so by default, I was able to win the second round. So let's go forward to the third round. The third round, I was playing against Harold Hunter. Um, First time playing against him. So I started with e4. My opponent played d5. This is called the Scandinavian defense. It's a pretty decent opening to play, especially in the intermediate and beginner range, mainly because you're able to get a little bit more active. Um, and also challenge white into playing a different line rather than like just e4, e5, which is pretty common. So d5, I think, just takes out of a lot of people's prep. So I play pawn takes, queen takes, and I played the traditional knight c3, attacking the queen, forcing the queen to go to the side. Um, what's different from the main line that I play, I actually play a system line where I play g3. Now, g3 intends for my bishop to fianchetto onto the g2 square here and put a lot of pressure on this diagonal here. This system, a lot of people don't really play it too much. I haven't seen a lot of people play it. Everyone opts for either like d4 or like knight f3. But this system, I learned it from the remote chess academy. So black plays knight f6, just developing a piece. I play bishop g2. My opponent plays c6. Doesn't want this diagonal to be of use, but we'll see later on how we can open up the diagonal a little bit. I play knight to e2, knight g e2. He brings out his bishop to g4. And in order to get this bishop like out of this pin, we want to play h3. Now, if the bishop goes back, this is kind of what we want. So we'll see that the bishop goes back. And when we're ready, we can actually play g4 whenever it's a good time for us to play that. So for now, we just castle. Black plays e6. Simply having a solid structure, all of his pawns defending each other, no overextensions. I play a3. Getting ready to play b4 soon. Bishop comes out. Now, I don't want to play b4 immediately, mainly because the pawn is pinned. If b4 now, the bishop can actually grab this pawn. I can't take because queen will take the rook. So instead, I play d3, just simply controlling more squares in the center. Castles, then I play rook b8, rook b1. Rook b1 intends to play b4. B4 you can't take anymore because of rook takes or pawn takes, either one. So queen goes back, doesn't want to get hit by the pawn, and I play b4 anyways. So the idea is that we're trying to use these pawns in order to break up white's solid structure on this side. So we're going to be playing like b5, and then if he takes, the diagonal gets open. Now, if he doesn't take, eventually we might want to take. Probably not immediately because the knight can probably recapture and then everything is okay. So we'll probably just leave the tension here and slowly build up an attack. So he plays a6. Probably like the best defense, just completely stopping b5. Because if I try to push any further, he's gonna push forward and or not even push forward. Like I just can't get through. He'll just trade, takes, and then like everything will be traded off. So I played g4. I feel like it's time to kick the bishop out. Now what I should have played was probably like f4, or like bishop out, either one. Um, because like if this plan gets stopped where we try to open up this area, the best move is usually, or the best plan, I guess, is to play f4. Now f4, we're just trying to use our pawns to like basically break open black's fortress here. There isn't really much black can do to stop this. We simply just have so much space that like either one of our pawns is gonna get through eventually. Instead though, I feel like f4 I should have played, but I didn't. I ended up playing g5, just kicking the knight out to an awkward square, or at least a square that I thought like I could attack. So for example, if when I attack this knight, the idea is that he wants to go to d5, just placing his knight in the center. This seems like the most natural move. But if instead of taking and like he takes, instead of like making that happen, uh I go to e4 instead. Now e4 attacks the bishop, and it also eyes some squares that I'm looking to, I guess, go to or move to. It also opens up the position so that I can play c4, pushing my pawns even further down the board and gaining more space with my pawns. So a lot of these combinations like basically helps me to gain more space and basically hold, um, I don't know, just hold more space. So the black bishop goes back to h5, understanding that my pawn just moved, so why not move back? And then I play this move queen to d2. Now, I don't want to move my bishop too early. If I move my bishop to any of these squares, it basically just gets captured immediately. So I don't want to move my bishop out, and I don't want to put my bishop on this diagonal, mainly because like I'm trying to keep this plan open. If I ever get the chance to play like b5, I can play b5. So queen d2 gives me like a waiting move and to see what black wants to do next. So he ends up taking my knight. The idea is that he wants to bring his knight over here to f4. So I think, okay, this is sort of good to me. I have a couple different options. So immediately I'm like, okay, I have to take. So what happens when the black bishop takes? Now, when the black bishop takes, I am able to get my queen into like a more active position. So we'll see bishop takes, queen to h5. Now this looks really scary to my opponent. Like I have all these different ideas that maybe I can try. Unfortunately, like they kind of don't work. I thought maybe like there's something here, but in reality, like there's nothing like substantial. Um, I thought maybe my bishop can somehow get in. Maybe I could try like moving my pawns forward, sacrificing a pawn to bring my rook over. But black simply has the normal move of like just knight to d7. So that's what he played, knight d7. This move, like any other move, basically would have lost him the game, but I think like this move just brings more forces over and completely like defends everything. Just in time. So unfortunately, I had to try and figure out like what I was gonna do. So I thought, okay, maybe I can bring more pawns into the attack, or maybe I can somehow move my king out of the way and bring my rook over. So that's what I did. First, I wanted to get my rook to an active position, rook e1. Just eyeballing this pawn over here. He feels very uncomfortable here, so I'm thinking, okay, so if he ever moves his pawn forward, this pawn would become very weak. So I'm targeting this pawn, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna be very discouraged of playing any of these moves. He plays rook over to d8, rook a d8. Simply just making another rook active, trying to take open the semi-open file. I play h4. Now h4 wasn't the most accurate move. I think mainly because black has too much time to like get his pieces out and like basically like defend, and the pawns are starting to get stuck on the dark squares, right? So my queen's in the way, so like I don't really have a forward move. Maybe if I had a couple more moves where like queen goes back and then I can play h4, h4, h5, h6, then maybe this move would have been okay, but I'm just too slow. So he plays this move f5. So f5, I thought, okay, it's a very risky move. The ideal thing is for him to is for me to take, and then he takes, and then his knight basically attacks, and we have to trade. So this way, like, I don't think was a good idea. I thought maybe I can move my knight somewhere. So I was sort of considering knight here. Sure, it doubles up my pawns a little bit, but at least like this pawn becomes weak, and then maybe I can start attacking it. Either through like, sorry, through rooks, and just stack up and try and attack this pawn, and then maybe like a breakthrough at some point with like b5 from like c4. So instead, I opted out for a different one. Like I even think like knight c3 was like a safer move. It still like blocks everything and it's okay, and I'm waiting for black to make a move. Um, but I don't know. I got a little ambitious and I played knight g3. Now knight g3 is just terrible. I thought like maybe I could play like g6, like let's say bishop takes and then like g6 maybe, nah, g6 now, no, and then g6, and then like if he goes up then like maybe I have some sort of like way of getting through like maybe rook takes. um yeah, but either way, it doesn't work. It doesn't work because I have no way of getting through and attacking these areas. Like even like g6, like I showed, like the knight comes here and then like I'm just doomed. This was a pretty long game, so like I'm pretty sure my opponent like thought about it real quick and then like I guess messed up his calculations a little bit, so he didn't want to take. If I had taken with the pawn first, the queen takes, and then if I try like g6 again, he has a couple different moves. So like knight here was one of them, and then pawn takes, just simply pawn takes, because the queen actually defends backwards. So a lot of these things like he probably should have done, but like I don't know. I guess he didn't want to. So instead, he actually played like g6. I think he was trying to trap my queen mainly because let's say like I go to queen to h6. He could always just also play like bishop back and then bishop to g7, and then this essentially just traps my queen. I just lose my queen for free. So instead, I go back. Going back was probably like the better move like a while ago, simply because I don't have an attack, so I need to like get rid of this bishop, try and like push it away, and then also bring my knight in, and then I can play like h5. Unfortunately though, he defends all his weaknesses, so like this is his only weakness right now, and I need to try and somehow make another one. Unfortunately though, like I move my knight, I try to attack the bishop, move the bishop out, gives me a check, king to the side. Now, the reason why this move was inaccurate, I should have gone the other way, is because of the upcoming move. So he plays knight to e5. Now, knight to e5, I thought was looking to go to like g4, and it does. But it also attacks the queen simultaneously. So if I like, let's say, move the queen to like e3, the knight goes to here, and then like I have to move my queen again. I don't want to move my queen like a third time or something like that. So I go to h3. Now the problem with this move is that I still have to move my queen. Um, basically, I guess I don't have to necessarily, maybe, because he still plays like knight f4, knight g4, but the threat is like he's gonna take my pawn and fork my queen. Yeah, fork my queen and my king. So I would be in check basically. So I would have to. Wait, I think that's actually checkmate. Yeah, that would actually be checkmate. So like I wouldn't be able to do anything. So this would be checkmate. So I have to defend it, make sure that I can't get checkmated. Bishop goes back, bishop over. Now, I thought maybe I could take this knight, and then all my problems would be solved. Like, the bishop doesn't really have an attack, this knight is just gone, I have my own knight, and maybe I can maneuver it over to the square someday. Like here, here, and then here. Unfortunately, he moved his knight back, not letting me do that. And I thought, okay, maybe I have some way of trading off the knight for the bishop and having my knight be super strong. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to come up with anything. I thought maybe like rook h1 and then playing h5 would help, but as we'll see in the game, he played a pretty good defense here. So since my rooks are not here yet, he has time to play e5, just making sure that his backwards pawn is not a backwards pawn anymore. So he does have the threat of e4. I try doing my plan a little bit fast, so h5. He plays e4, takes. I'm hit by the rook and the pawn, so I do have to move. I give him a check. King goes up. Now the best move that I should have played was h6. Now this move I didn't want to play, mainly because like it closes up the position and the plan of like my rook comes over, it's just completely like gets stopped by this. So I'm like, okay, I can't play this move, but it was the best move. What's weird is that the best move was usually like bring my rooks over to this file and just try to basically like either penetrate down this file or get the bishop to trade itself or move away. So this bishop is the weak point right now. Because if the bishop moves, then my rooks would be able to like get in eventually, if I stack them. But it's still pretty complicated. But unfortunately, I made the losing move of pawn takes. Now, pawn takes is really, really bad. Simply just my king is just far too open. I don't really have any way of like defending anything really. This pawn is way too forward. The bishop is much better than my knight. I thought maybe my knight could somehow like get through, but his bishop is just simply better in this situation. The attack starts to roll down, so rook comes up. I'm like, okay, I can't take because the pawn takes. So I have to try and make another move. I move my queen up. Now the queen comes over. Now he's aiming for g4. G4 or h3. H3 is checkmate, so, or check, I guess. But it leads to checkmate eventually for either one of these moves. So I do have to make some space for my king. So rook to h1. Queen comes in. King f1. Now I'm trying to escape. It's kind of hard. He tried to have this move, e3, but I think when he got here, he realized, oh, oops, his queen is actually pinned to the pawn. So he has to try and find a different move. So he picks up the pawn. I thought maybe I can try to like get some Um, I guess a cheeky way of like checkmating him is somehow like getting my rook over here, and then like my other rook comes here, and then like I can take, and then like somehow get my queen onto the square. But it's just way too slow. I bring my rook over. He takes my pawn. Now this pawn, this tactic is pretty nice. Because at first I thought, okay, so I can take the rook, right? No, I can't because he has e3 check, and that would actually lose my queen immediately. So I have to move to the side. Now, also, I thought, okay, he can also take my knight. Now, the problem is that, like, I thought I could just take with my queen, to be honest. But unfortunately, I couldn't do that either. It's probably, like, the best move. The problem is his bishop actually comes in and gives me a check. I have to move. If I go to, let's say, f2, he gives me another check, and then I lose my queen. I either go to g2, and queen takes my queen, or I block with my queen, and then he just takes it. If I go the other way, which we'll see, I still lose my queen either way. Rook check, and then I was like, what, at like a minute or 2 minutes, and I had to make the choice of either of these two. Both moves are pretty much losing. Since I was low on time, I played King E3, and I thought like, okay, there's no way he's gonna do anything. But then he just plays like Queen F4, and it's checkmate. If I had gone to the other square, King C1, he simplifies the position and takes, and then Queen takes. Um, Wait, does he simplify the position? No, no, no. He doesn't. He doesn't simplify the position. Sorry. Um, Queen takes. Yeah, queen takes, and then rook takes. And then I thought like maybe he has some check. I thought there was some way of getting my queen. No. Mm, Wait. So yeah, queen takes. And the rook takes. And I guess like I don't know, some sort of check would probably be used to pick up like all my pawns. I think that's the main problem. And like it's kind of hard for me to go in. If I lose this pawn, I lose all like drawing chances too. So he's just gonna fork me, and then as soon as I move, like he'll just take the pawn. And then I don't have like he doesn't have to worry about anything because let's say like I move my rook, king just goes forward, and then what he's gonna take, but like it's already kind of lost already. Let's say, yeah, the queen comes over, or like maybe the bishop starts moving over, and then this pawn's gonna promote too. So overall, I lost like round 3, but it was definitely a hard fought game. I think during the game, he was up maybe like 30 minutes, I think, and then we ended up going into like me down to like 2 minutes, and he had like 5 minutes. So he definitely played that well and used all of his time. I also used up pretty much all my time too. Um, so yeah, it was a good game played by him, but